Good afternoon, everyone. Again, thank you for joining us for our 3:30 update about COVID-19 in Eau Claire County. We appreciate people that are checking in with us, getting the information they need, and working with our community as a whole to make sure that we keep people as safe as possible. It's the end of the week. It's Friday. We have had this order in place since March 25th. The order to stay at home and help protect others so that we can flatten the curve. It may seem like a lot longer, but it has been just since March 25th, and it will go until the morning of April 24th. It's not easy. We know that as humans, we need to be connected to each other, and we're really encouraging people to take those ongoing steps to connect with one another in ways that are safe. Keep your circle very, very small. We also are glad you're connecting with us on this media cast, and make sure that others around you know this information. So please share that as you are able to. Today, the governor announced a special session of the legislature. That special session he is asking for in order to move to an all-paper balloting, not a paper balloting process, but a by-mail balloting process for the election. That by-mail process would be a decision by the legislature, so he's asking for that special session to happen tomorrow. Today, we have people locally here to talk about the election, and Carrie Repo, who is our city clerk, as well as Al Bertrang, the safety officer for our incident for COVID-19, are both here to share with you what we're doing right now to prepare for the election in the event that it still moves forward on Tuesday. They'll be talking through the hard work that has happened in the last couple of weeks to make that election as safe as possible. So a quick status update before then. In Wisconsin, we have 1,912 positive cases of COVID-19 by testing, an increase of 186 cases, 37 deaths, an increase of 6, and 22,337 negative tests for COVID-19. Again, tough numbers for the state. Any death is so difficult for all of us to wrap our heads around, and certainly is tragic for those families, and our thoughts are really with them. They're reporting at the state level a hospitalization of about 25% of those cases at any given point, and that's right now about 487 people. A reminder that testing capacity is increasing, and that's part of the reason that we're seeing increased cases. The state is reporting that the turnaround time for the State Lab of Hygiene tests is about 1 to 2 days. The state also is continuing to talk about how the curve needs to be flattened, and that our data may be showing us at this point that that is starting to happen. Rather than seeing the doubling of cases every 2 or 3 days, we are still seeing increased cases. That's not unexpected, but we're not seeing it at the rate already that might have been expected without this order. We're very early into that process, though, and we will keep watching those numbers to see what happens. We also know that the stay-at-home order is in place because, as a public health measure, we want to protect people and protect that bump of cases for healthcare to have to respond to. This order for 4 weeks makes sure that we can get things in place in case there is a second wave after the order is lifted, and that we have the ability to respond because we will have cases even after that point in time. In Eau Claire, there are 16 confirmed cases. We do not have an increase since yesterday. Our testing numbers increased by 44 from yesterday. We're at 789 Eau Claire County residents have been tested, with 618 negative tests. 155 are remaining pending. A reminder that, again, these are only people that have been tested. We have 16 confirmed cases by testing. It's likely not a complete representation of disease in this community. There will be people that are positive for this disease that likely we will not ever know because they have not been tested. Our age ranges continue to be as young as high school and include people over the age of 60. The call center, our call center number, the 715-831-7425 number, call center number, had 52 calls yesterday. The call center is open over the weekend, but starting next week, we will have some slightly adjusted hours. Those hours next week, starting on Monday, will be 8:30 to 4:30, Monday through Friday, and then next weekend will be 10 until 2 on Saturday and Sunday. Those hours will be updated on our website as well. At a state and national level, there's been a number of large conversations besides the order that is in place and the changes to the election that the governor has proposed. Definitely conversations that CDC has had publicly about masks. We talked about that a little bit yesterday. The state medical director for COVID-19 also spoke to that today. There are many discussions at a state and national level about masks. We know that there is not likely to be a sufficient supply of the masks needed to protect healthcare workers. That has been true in other states and in other countries. Healthcare workers and people that are in direct contact with individuals that are providing patient care are our most important priority for masks. Those masks, N95s and surgical masks, both specific type of masks, we need to protect them, not only from getting disease from individuals that have COVID-19, but also in case they are individuals that show no symptoms of the disease and they are working in those healthcare centers to protect their patients from getting COVID-19. So for both reasons, we need to protect those professionals. Cloth masks are being discussed. Cloth masks do not necessarily, the science is very unclear about whether they will be helpful, but they certainly in use will not protect you from getting disease by wearing a cloth mask. That's why they are not recommended for healthcare workers. They may assist some in protecting others from getting disease from you. They may be able to gather some of those droplets, some of that coughing and sneezing droplets, and stop them from going farther out and impacting others. In Wisconsin, we'll be following the CDC lead on the next steps related to cloth masks, and we'll share more as we have that information. But again, I want to make sure people don't leave with an unexpected a sense that they are protected by going out with a cloth mask. We really need to understand that washing hands and physical distance are the ways that we protect from getting disease, even with a cloth mask on. We also have had lots of conversations across the state around religious events that may be happening in the next week or so. It is a special time at Easter for people, both for religious reasons, but also family reasons to gather. And we know that that is very difficult for people in the community that hold on to those holidays and those religious celebrations. Family traditions and religious traditions are being disrupted by this COVID-19 event. The Safer at Home order is in place for a reason. It's to keep your circle with your household. And even though it's difficult, we are expecting people to do that. The spread of disease, we are counting on people doing that. Faith-based organizations have an important role in slowing the spread of COVID-19, and we have seen some really creative approaches by our local faith-based organizations in finding ways to impact and reach their congregations, and we really appreciate that. For mental health reasons and for faith reasons, reaching out is important during these times. Making those connections is important, and the faith-based organizations that are doing that, we really appreciate that. Streaming of church services and religious services is a way to get that content out. Again, for those that are concerned about that, please pay attention to spreading disease as our primary issue at this point in time. Another reminder about the order that we are seeing as the spring weather might be approaching, although maybe not today, is that traveling for non-essential things is not allowed in the order. Travel for essential work is what is expected, and for essential services defined in the order, and essential activities defined in the order, but not for non-essential things. Gathering, again, with large groups of people that are not your household members is not an accepted part of the order for social reasons. So today we do have two people here to talk about local elections, both Al Bertrang and Carrie Riepel, and I will invite Al to share with us first. Is that right, or is Carrie coming first? Carrie will join us first.
Hello, I am Carrie Riepel, the Eau Claire City Clerk. The election processes and procedures continue to evolve. As of right now, the in-person election on April 7th is still going to take place. We are putting processes and procedures into place that will keep our poll workers and voters as safe as possible. The federal court yesterday did make a decision that changed some of our absentee voting rules. There was an update to that today as well. The first thing is that voters have until 5 p.m. today to request that a ballot be mailed to them. So if you want to get a ballot mailed to you, you need to contact your municipal clerk today by 5 p.m. The other is that voters now have until 4 p.m. on Monday, April 13th, to return their ballots to the municipal clerk. So get those ballots back in your clerk's hands by Monday, April 13th. The third thing is that the absentee envelope requires a witness signature, and the court has indicated that if a person is unable to find a witness signature, they may provide a statement with their ballot that says that they were unable to safely obtain a witness signature despite reasonable efforts to do so. And then the update for today is that no election results will be provided until that Monday, April 13th at 4 p.m. That is the very earliest that election results will be available, but it will probably be later because we will need to tabulate the ballots that are returned at that time. And then we will be continuing to follow that order. However, it has been appealed. So if the Court of Appeals would change something there, then we will change our processes. But as of this point, we will be following that order, and that goes for all municipal clerks in the state. And then finally, the legislature will be meeting at 4 p.m. tomorrow to determine if there will be any other changes to the in-person election. We have put processes, procedures in place at the polls for safety, and we have Al Bertrang, the Deputy Chief for the Eau Claire Fire Department, here to talk about those procedures.
Good afternoon. Again, my name is Alan Bertrang. I am the Deputy Chief of Prevention and Community Risk Reduction for the City of Eau Claire Fire Department. I am also currently serving as the Incident Safety Officer for the COVID-19 incident here for Eau Claire County. So I'm here today to talk a little bit about the safety procedures and processes that we have in place for the election this coming week. As Carrie had mentioned, there are some things happening that could potentially change that, but we're going to proceed forward as though it does happen, and then we'll make changes if we need to. I want to ensure everybody that we have had a team in place working very hard, very diligently to ensure that we have safeguards in place for voting, both for the voters and for the poll workers. We also need to communicate that this year voting will look different than it has in past elections. It will look different at the polling place in the way that we have the polling site set up. It will also look different with the process that we're following at the polling site. But all of this is being done to ensure the health and safety of the poll workers and of the people in the general public that are coming to those sites to vote. The City of Eau Claire has had drive-up voting in place. This has been a process that has worked well. It's been an opportunity for us to show that we can provide voting with processes that are different than what we've had in the past and still ensure the health and safety of everybody involved. We will be doing the same type of thing at the voting sites next week. Some of the things that you might notice when you come to the voting sites is that there is hand washing and hand sanitizing taking place throughout the process. As Lisa had mentioned before, a couple of the key elements to keeping people healthy during this is social distancing, washing hands, and regular cleaning. Another thing you'll see at the polling sites is clear signage that will give people direction on what they should and should not do. You'll notice that we have areas separated and marked off so that we can maintain those minimum 6-foot distances between people. You'll notice that there's cleaning supplies present because we're going to be doing regular cleaning of the polling sites throughout the entire day and throughout the entire process. There will be voter pathways that we expect people to follow when they go through the voting process, and that is to help maintain that social distancing as well as keeping people from touching surfaces and having close contact. The processes have been practiced in locations already, and they will be practiced again this weekend to ensure that we are using the best practices possible for our voters and for our poll workers this coming week. We will also be working with the workers at the polling sites over this weekend to ensure that everybody understands the process that we're going to be using and how we will be setting the polling sites up for the health and safety of everybody involved. Again, we've had people, including myself, members of the health department and others that have been working very hard and diligently to make sure that we put these safeguards in place for the people in our community.
Thanks so much to both Al and Carrie for sharing that perspective. I also want to extend a particularly big thank you to Janet Loomis as well, who's our county clerk. She has been the point person for all the clerks in the entire county, supporting them as this ever-changing world is happening with the election. We really appreciate all the clerks across Eau Claire County and all the poll workers across Eau Claire County that every election do amazing work, and particularly this election have a daunting job because of not only the quickly changing situation with COVID-19, but all of the pieces that go into making sure that we protect the people, both the workers and the voters in that process. I am confident as incident commander that we have very strong processes in place and that the election can be done safely on Tuesday if it does go forward. And I really commend the group. As Al said, there was an enormous group working on this nonstop for the last stretch, and I really appreciate that work. So again, a reminder that absentee ballots until the end of today, fill those out and get those into the municipal clerk by Monday, April 13th. That is our current process until we hear differently. And do know that we want people to vote. It's an important part of what we do as people in this community. In closing, again, contact our website. Go to our website, coronavirus.echealthdepartment.org. Again, coronavirus.echealthdepartment.org. For more information, we're updating that regularly. If you can't find the information that you need there, please consider going to our call center and calling them and talking to an individual there, 715-831-7425. If you'd like to help, and I know many people are interested in that, go to our website and go to that volunteer button and consider doing that. We also know that there's a particular need right now for blood donation, and if you are someone that's able to do that, also consider donating blood. This is hard. Connect with your support system. If they're in your household, do that. If they're outside your household, do that. My best friend lives in Boston, and I call her as I'm walking the dog. Some of you have heard about me walking my dog, and it makes a difference. We all need to do that, and we need to support one another. So find those people that are special supports to you and reach out to them. We will continue this update on Monday, and certainly now if there are any questions, we'll entertain those.
I'm kind of talking about hospitalization. Regardless of residency, has there been anyone in Eau Claire at any time been hospitalized because of coronavirus?
So the question is, what do we know about hospitalization in Eau Claire County? The reports we get are for Eau Claire County residents. We have had an individual hospitalized in Eau Claire for COVID-19, an Eau Claire County resident. We do know that there are likely, with our large regional footprint, other people hospitalized in Eau Claire County. That is not reported to us. We have met with all the hospitals. They are working hard on responding to all the needs that come to their doors, including treating COVID-19 patients. So we know that is happening. Yes?
It's kind of a two-part question. We're starting to see some of the essential businesses start even restricting some of their access between ours, Target. We're even hearing reports that Walmart now has lines forming out the door because they're potentially restricting access. We haven't gotten official confirmation on that yet or not. But I guess what's being done from the health department's standpoint if people are being held outside, waiting in line, potentially in close proximity to each other? What's being done from your aspect? And then maybe just go over again, there's confusion on why is this business considered essential? Why is this liquor store? Why is this part of a store being considered essential if they only need food? And if you could just maybe touch on that a little bit again.
Sure. Yeah, so a broad question about essential businesses that are operating in our community and the order that was written at the state level around essential businesses. The order is specific about which businesses can stay open and cannot. And within that order are definitely businesses that are from a broad range across our community. So there are places that are open. The order also is very clear that those essential businesses need to operate in a way that is working toward is in fact ensuring that people have distance, physical distance, and is ensuring that people are not in close contact with one another. So critically important, yes, that those businesses are open, and also critically important that they're being operated in ways that keep distance and really assure those practices that we need to have people assure. We are working with businesses carefully on that. Communication happens daily with businesses. We do get complaints around things like lines forming outside and how those lines are being engineered in a way that is safe, and we are following up on those. We've also communicated that directly, and we know in some cases it's not necessarily being regularly followed, so we follow up immediately when we know that is happening. And we have had very, very good, with education, very, very good compliance with the intent of the order to keep distance. Some businesses do have a large variety of products, and those businesses do stay open, even if only part of their inventory is such that it needs to be open. They are also instructed, they are working directly with our business licensing group on what to do and how to do that. So very active communication happening. We know that there are some challenges, and we're addressing those, and we've had really this community, I think, wants to do the right things. We do know some of the large businesses in Eau Claire have instituted some new practices this week, and people will need to get used to those. We are supportive of all of those that limit the numbers inside stores so that people can not be in close proximity, and the people working at the spots where people check out not be in situations to be at risk. So we are in support of that, as well as other measures that they're taking to make sure people stay safe. Other questions? Yes?
I have an elections question, actually. I'm not sure if Carrie or Al is willing to.
Yeah. Is it a safety-related question or an elections process-specific question?
Sort of both. I'll just ask
Yeah,
the question.
go ahead.
We're seeing that the city is consolidating some polling places. I'm wondering if that is due to a shortage of poll workers, and also, if there's concern over more people in one place, is that more of a...
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'll let Carrie directly address that, but certainly all of the poll sites that we have across the county, as Al said, we've engineered in a way, and we're working with those clerks to make sure that the site itself will stay safe. So distance is clearly important and being set up. There's clear instructions to all those sites about how to do it correctly, and I'll let Carrie address the specific sites in Eau Claire.
The City of Eau Claire has not consolidated any of our sites. We still have our 20 poll sites. 3 of them have moved locations. So Pentecostal Church is moving to the Menards Tennis Center. UWEC Davies Center is moving to the Zorn Arena. And then our Redeemer Church is moving to the Labor Temple. But all other sites in the county remain as they have always been. Is that?
Yeah, and maybe you can also speak to, have there been shortages of poll workers? We saw a report from a couple days ago saying that Eau Claire County is one county that, has had trouble finding poll workers and,
Our poll worker numbers are down. However, we do have enough poll workers to man each site. There will be fewer voters, so we do not need as many poll workers as we would typically need for an April election.
And again, one of the things I've been able to see happening is the number of people that have said, we will help. Poll workers often are people that have been wonderful volunteers in retirement frequently, and some of those individuals we consider more at risk, and we have had other people also step forward across the county and across the state to volunteer to fill those slots. And I think whenever we can lift up the fact that people recognize when we need some help and are reaching out and helping, it's a good thing. Not that there aren't challenges, and not that having sufficient poll workers isn't an issue across the state, but we are really seeing many people recognize that they could help and stepping forward. Any other questions today? All right. Thank you, everybody. We will be back on Monday, and we appreciate people paying attention to keeping yourself safe and healthy and keeping those around you as well.